Guys, welcome to a new video. Now you might be wondering why I'm doing this again. It's because I lost all my progress on the last one, and plus I decided to change some stuff. So let's just go ahead and get started. Alright, so this is a new planet. We're gonna call it Zydaxel. And Zydaxel, they have Zydaxians. And these Zydaxians, they are different than humans. They're stronger and they're smarter, but we'll get to that. We'll talk about that more next episode. So civilization is going to start up here. Now, as you know, some people say the civilization started near the Nile, so I'm going to do something like that. So it all starts with the first group of Nardaxians. Dang it, I already forgot. I'm going to just choose the easier name. How about this? The Rivens. The planet is called Riven, and they call it the Rivens. So the first Rivens, they decide to expand out here down the river. And sure, they're going to thicken themselves up a bit, but they're going to mainly follow the river. But when the river splits, they have a tough choice to make. Which one should they focus on first? So they decide to focus on the left river, which, as you know, they could have found a lot of ocean out here, but they didn't. So at this point they didn't have enough resources to actually go here. So they crawled up little by little every year until they eventually got here. And they thought it was just a little lake, but it wasn't. I remember when I said these guys were a little bit smarter. Yeah, they already developed boats, and the timeline is not like in seconds. It's like months every second. So yeah, I just remember that. So they've invented boats. They try it out, and they ended up landing on this island, but they almost died. So they decided not to keep going, and they almost made it to this island, but some people died. So bad. Anyways, they're gonna go out their way because these are like mountains here. So they're gonna try to cross these mountains because they're lower than these mountains. They start climbing the mountains. It's pretty hard. Many people are dying, but it's better. It's better for the nation. And we're just gonna call this the Egypt nation because it's similar to Egypt, but well, not so really. But who cares? And the Egypt nation, they're just gonna keep going. And as they're still going, they reach here. They realized, and then they see this. So they land here, and then they move over a bit, but then they realize that wasn't an ocean, that wasn't a lake at all. It's an ocean. So they decide to go up here to see if it's actually ocean. And when they hit an island, so they think, oh, it must be another lake. But then they go straight up and miss everything. Like, if they just went over here, they would have hit that land. But no, they just went straight up and missed everything. So they're just going to keep expanding. Over here is kind of deserty, but also grassy. So they're just going to start expanding out here a bit. And but they're overextending a bit. And some people are being born in the desert area, so they can have better conditions, but they're darker. So as you know from real life, that didn't go too well. And in this Egypt nation, they're like, oh, this area isn't really that well. We don't really need that area, so we're just not gonna fund them. But if they ever rebel against us, they're cooked. And you know what they do? That's right. They rebel. They start a rebellion in the northern area, moving out west a bit. And then they're going to keep going, and then they're going to go east. They're going to get a boat, capture this island, and then they're going to go to the river. They're not going to cross the river. They're just going to go slowly down the river. And they shoot. They got arrows now. Yay. They shoot across the river with the arrows. They decide to stop here. They decide to stop right about here and fortify this area that's land. They decide to try to encircle this area. As they're encircling, they're losing more and more as the red team pulls that World War II Japan tactic where they're like, even if you're surrounded, never surrender. Which that might be a bit dark, but... And then they kind of escape towards up here. They try to escape, and as they're trying to escape, the blue Egypt was like, oh heck no. So what they do is they cut them off, and then they circle them, and they swiftly get wiped out. And then they're gonna go finally past the river and grab these three kind of isolated places that are surrounded by river. And then they're gonna grab this fourth one. And that's when the red team says, oh heck no, we're cooked. So they decide to make a peace treaty. So the peace treaty is red team's gonna keep all this. Red team's gonna keep that. The blue team gets their independence, and also red team gains some of this. And blue team's going to gain their independence. Now we have two teams, the red and blue team. So let's focus on the blue team for now. The blue team, they're going to decide to keep expanding west where they think more desert is. But little do they know, it starts getting green. And they're like, but we thought there was more desert here. But little they know, there's literally a river and a lake here. And not all of this land is discovered. Only like about all this is discovered, including those islands. So they don't know what's going on here. So they're like, oh heck no, let's keep expanding. And then they find a lake. They're like, oh, this is new. I thought the world was just one tiny island. So they keep it going, and then they hit a river. They're gonna cross the river, and they're gonna do pretty good. They're gonna send some guys down here to get some of that coast, and then they're gonna follow along the river, but they're not really gonna do anything because why would they? And they're just gonna rest a little bit. And it is let's say this is the resting century where nothing expanding really happens, but diplomatic issues do. This is from year 4 to 6, so we're just gonna skip to year 6. So now it is year 6, and now the red teams decided, you know what? It's been a couple years. Let's advance more, and they start advancing until boom, they find another lake. But they just think, oh snap, okay, well, more water source, more fishing. But little do they know, there's tons of resources that will be excavated futures in. But I shouldn't have said that. That's a spoiler. Okay, but I'm not gonna do any more spoilers. My bad about that. I'm probably gonna change that, but who cares? So red team, they decide, let's stop going south and let's move along the coast. So they do. They hit this river and they follow the river for a bit. They follow the river. They keep following until boom, they hit the end of the river. So they are going to try to dig a thing out to make all that connected. So they are going to advance with the soldiers, but then they find a hidden tribe, the green team. See, no one knew the green team was really here, not even you guys, but I did. I planned this. And there's just one green nation here. Now, who knows, there may be nations all over here, but we don't know it yet because we're only discovering over here. But turns out, during the battle, some of them escaped, and they found people over here. So during the Blue War of Independence, they escaped over here, and they found people, and they kind of mixed, and they formed this green nation with tons of population, and best of all, fold. It's like a version of gold, but more valuable armor. So the green team, they're like, oh, heck no, you're not just going to barge into our territory. And they're pretty strong. They're experienced. Meanwhile, the people the red team hired are not. Also, while the green team are invading the red team, they're sending civilians out to capture what's behind this river. And they do it pretty good. So now, it's looking like this. So the green team, they're going to hit a little like a basketball player be juking like crazy. And then they're just going to advance like crazy. They're going to hit this river, and red team's like, okay, stop. But they're like, I don't feel like it. So they're going to keep going until red team's fine. Okay, fine, you can take all the territory you've captured. And like, I like that. So this is going to be the peace treaty right here. Now, green team, they're going to worry about the coast because they like fishing a lot. Even though they have a lot of land where there's no fishing near, like here or here. So they decide to move along the coast, and they decide, let's go boat fishing, and they run into this island, and it's perfect. It has even more fold. So they're just gonna keep advancing down until they decide, it's fine, let's just stop. So they stop about right here, and then they boat down and find these islands. So green team is the first to go down to those islands. But oh, look at this. What's going on in blue team? Blue team, they decide, you know what, let's go north. Because if green team can discover that, we might discover something, and they land. They're like, yo, red and green team, look what we found up north. And like red team's like, all right, bet. Green team's like, man, forget that, bro. We can't even reach. So now red and blue team are literally fighting over the island. They're fighting. Red team's going to get half of so they make a treaty. The Treaty of Harrow Island. This is Harrow Island, by the way. I'm probably not going to remember that, so just remind me in the comments. And the Treaty of Harrow Island is, they're going to split the island here. And yeah, blue team's going to get this half. That's closer to their territory. Red team's going to get that half. That's closer to their island. Now, for now, all nations have agreed to stop, like, finding islands and stealing it from each other. They're just going to focus on land. And red team, they're going to break that treaty because they can't really do it. Wait, what's this? Wait, red team, what are you doing, man? What? Red team, are you crazy? That's not going to hold. But red team says, forget that. I don't care if it holds. We are trying to expand. And it's crazy that green and blue team just left that gap there for red team just to break through. And then a treaty happens. They're like, okay, red team, these borders, they're not natural at all. They look ugly as heck. So what we're going to do is we're going to give you all this. Just to be fair, we're going to give you all this. So these borders actually look like they belong to you. And red team agrees. They're like, okay, thanks for the free land, I guess. But little did red team know, green and blue team made a mastermind evil plan. They booby-trapped those areas, and a bunch of people die now. Sad. And red team's going to be like, why, you little? So red team is going to annex all this right here. And green team's like, what the heck, dude? And then green team's like, oh, you shouldn't have done that. And they evade, but wait, they're barely making a budge. What is going on? And then that's where they see it. Red team has new weapons. Fire bows. Not even any of the green team soldiers realizing why were they falling and burning. They should have known. Red team starts pushing into green team. Blue team's over here like, if we do what if red team wins? They might come after us. But if we go after them now, what if we both just lose? So blue team decides to stay out of it and become neutral with the red team. And the red team decides, okay, you get saved for now, blue team. And they keep advancing through green team. And they keep advancing until they reach the Green River. Yeah, you guys are going to have to remind me of that name too. But this is the Green River. And they are just going to be like, you should not have done that. So they are going to follow the Green River. The Green River. And green team's going to pull their troops back from here to reinforce the Green River, but that was a bad idea, and red team just completely takes over that. And since red team took over that, green team's like, wait, we're cooked. What have we done? And also, quick side note, this island right here is uninhabitable. So you know what that means. They died. Sad, I know. They just straight up died over there. So that island's uninhabitable. And the Treaty of Hanoi Island, again, I think that's called, yeah, should be, happens again, and this is the new territory. Now, red team, they're looking like a pretty strong country. So is blue team. And green team, they just got absolutely bodied. So they're like, oh, we're coming back. We're coming back with an evil villainous Disney laugh. Yeah, I'm not doing that like, ho, 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 ho. So they're gonna keep advancing down like rivers and oceans and all that stuff. And as they're doing that, Also, if you guys hear sniffles, that's because I'm sick. So, and I don't really know how to edit those out. So sorry. And they're gonna be like, we are not losing again, no matter what. So they keep advancing, and eventually they get here, and they're gonna stop, cause this area is sandy. So they're just gonna stop and decide why not make red team's border just a bit isolated. So they decide to advance a bit there. They're gonna get split this lake right with the Egypt team, because they're most like Egypt. I don't know. Well, let's just call it by the color. The red team, and the red team's like, okay, fine. I don't know what you're trying to do, but it's kind of weird. So we're gonna keep a good eye on you. And they don't even keep a word. They just said that to scare the green team. And the green team, they know that. Blue team over here, they're neutral, and they start island hopping. They get all these islands pretty good. They even grab some coast while they at it. Islands and coast, two things that you can't go wrong with in this world, and it's just really good. And they are having a great time, a really, really good time, until a disease comes. The disease comes with deadly force. It comes in killing everything. It starts on one island, blue team cut, and then it stops island hopping, and then, well, it's just everywhere. But then they found a cure. The cure was wheat. Literal wheat. You just had to bake some wheat with some fresh roseberries from a bush. Roseberries are like raspberries, and it would just heal you right up. And you also had to put some salt. Like, alt is salt in this universe. But I'm just going to call it by what we call it here. So, if you want to remember this, make lore for it, you can. So, blue team's probably going to just finally stop advancing here. They're going to take over this river, and then they're just going to stop. And that's what they do. They stop. And now you have an age of peace. It's year 16 through 26. And 16 to 26, you see a little, like, grabbing some land, but it's nothing really. And so that's going to be the end of part 1. So there's 3 nations so far: the red team, the blue team, and the green team. Many, like, couple wars, couple treaties, but it's fine. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you have a good day. And if you want to make lore for this, you can. And good luck. Or what? No, I'm tripping. Just bye.